G'day guys, welcome to another trip down memory lane. And as you guys can see here, well, I was going to do my next part on stream, but I decided to just do another part instead. Let's do a bit of a prologue of going into new areas. So as you can see here, we are heading towards, Trial of the Crusader, just in case you guys are wondering. Trial of the Crusader was the third raid, I believe. It was in between ICC and Ulda, and well, it probably was the first raid that had multiple multiple difficulties into one instance. Previously there was no normal or heroic. It was just 25 man and 10 man, and the hard mode you basically activate it in an instance in Ultua. However, in this instance they changed that where they had a 10 man heroic, 10 man normal, 25 heroic, and 25 man normal. So the first thing we go down to here is Quel'Dalar being here. So this is Quel'Dalar. I think this became active during the patch as well. But anyways, we get to the Grand Crusader area, or Argent Tournament grounds. So what happens, guys, at the start of this, you basically built this place up during the expansion. So slowly but surely you built this place up over time. And eventually the instance was launched in the patch. Basically at the start it was just some stone and bricks. You had to collect wood and stuff like that from surrounding areas. Then eventually you built the tents. And then eventually you build the Colosseum itself. And you can still do the quests even now here as well in the Argent Tournament grounds. I'm just trying to find it in the end. Basically, you did some jousting lessons as well. As you can see, it's just a grand kind of Crusader sort of thing. And you can also get some cool mounts from here as well. I'm trying to figure out if you can go do the Argent Tournament quest right away. I don't think you can. No, you can actually. You can get it all in here. So, let's just get into the instance. So there's two instances here. So one instance is the Try to Crusader raid, which you enter through here. And the other instance is Trial of the Champion, I believe, and you enter through there. It can be done on heroic or normal. So we're going to do the heroic Trial of the Crusader. And this is the first time where, Blizzard experimented with a few things. First of all, they experimented no trash. And second of all, they experimented with a PvP boss for the first time as well. And, well, let me just say this instance was probably one of the worst instances. Actually, I can't even do it on Heroic. Oh well. But this was one of the not well-received instances, and it was very, 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 very frustrating. Like, this instance was incredibly, incredibly frustrating. And not many people enjoyed it. In fact, a lot of the people who quit in Wrath Game quit around about this time because it's like a literal massive step down since Ulduar. So now we're going to go through it. So basically there's 5 bosses in here. So the first boss is going to be Northrend Beasts, and this is where the meme, not one but 2 Jomongers came from. So the first one I believe is, I think it's the Cobalt. And then after the Cobalt, it's the 2 Jomongers, and then after that, it's the Ice Owl. So basically you can also see the bosses outside the instance as well. And there's a lot of memes from this place, even though it wasn't the greatest of raids. There's a lot of memes that came from this place. Like a lot of memes. And as you can see here, basically you get a spoiler of what happens if you watch the mini map here. But if you're not on the mini map, it goes off. But yeah, you can watch the spoilers of what happens. So Gormok, you basically summon kobolds over time. Generally, you AoE the kobolds, so people didn't have them. See these vassals here? You just basically AoE them down. With the Jawmongers, you have one, and you have another one that burrows up. Essentially, what you did was you moved away from the one that was burrowing around. So you can see here they're both up, and there we go. There's the achievement, okay. But the one that just burrows around, you have to have a tank just move it. For this one is the most unique mechanic, Ice Owl. So what Ice Owl did, which is so unique, is that he'll basically he would go to center room and knock everyone to the back, and you had to move out of his way, basically. So if you moved out of his way and he hit a wall, you did 100% extra damage to him. If he ran into someone, he killed them instead, okay? So they died. There's also, this instance had a lot of best in slot trinkets. Probably the first instance where first instance vanilla actually, where the best in slot trinket for a lot of classes came from a dungeon before. Like the best trinkets, even in RCC, was the mana trinket, Souls to the Fallen from this boss. So, anyways, what else happened? Next one is going to be the even biggest meme, which is Draxus. You face Draxus. Biggest meme came from here. So, waiting for the gnome to die. And yeah, that's what's going to pretty much happen here. Just in case you guys are wondering, gnome dies. And he summons Draxus. Now, my experience with Northrend Beast, we did it on Heroic and Normal. Like, I came back from WoW because I quit at the end of Ulduar. I just didn't enjoy the game much anymore. I just burnt out. And I came back for probably the last few weeks of Trial to Crusader. And basically, since I'm a Paladin healer, it was very helpful for a noob rank. And we one-shot both Heroic and Normal. And I did get a Souls to Fall on my first try. So, you know, it was pretty good. We also did Ulduar as well. Like, you did Ulduar and Trial to Crusader together. Because Ulduar still had some decent loot. Like, mainly for Paladins, they had Meteorite Crystal, which I used. So, Draxus is going to kill this guy. Draxus is a very interesting fight, actually. Like, Draxus himself is quite interesting. I don't think they have his abilities here. Also, as well, you get Crusader, also the new crafting wrap, and trophy tokens to pick up the new tier items. And pretty much the new tier items, pretty much, like I say now, for Paladins, it was really like a band-aid fix, because Sacred Shield got nerfed. Like, Sacred Shield you could put it on everyone, essentially. And then Blizzard nerfed it. And then Paladins kept stacking Intellect to spam Holy Light non-stop. And Flashlight became essentially worthless, and Sacred Shield actually became worthless. In fact, Sacred Shield only could be put on one target, and funny enough, it was actually better to spam Holy Light than to put on Sacred Shield, because Sacred Shield blocked so little. Like, Sacred Shield was like a 2k absorb. But anyways, that's Paladin talk. But this guy, he summoned demons, and you had to kill demons over and over and over again while DPSing him down. There's also, I think, Succubus and Infernals as well that you had to constantly avoid. Now, every time you kill a boss, these guys get more and more pissed off. And the next boss will be the Champions of the Alliance, which will jump down here. So this will be randomized. So this is the first PvP boss encounter where, like, you'll be versing a scripted PvP encounter where, you know, people keep each other up and stuff like that. And you have to kill everything one by one by one. The hardest part about this fight is not dying within the first 20 seconds, okay? That was the hardest part of this fight. Even on Heroic as well, is to not die in the first 20 seconds, because you could easily die in the first 20 seconds of this fight. Okay, let's just be real, okay? Because, like, all the guys could switch to you and instantly kill you immediately. And that was the biggest frustration of this fight, is that it was more RNG than actual, you know, being able to control strategy. However, still, eventually people figured out the targeting rotation of, like, all the ads and stuff like that, and they abused it to hell, and they did kill it. Now, so now basically these guys will jump down. You can also see what you'll be up against if you look in the crowd, because they will appear in the crowd. So we've seen the Alliance Champions. You can see the Alliance Champions in the crowd here before they jump down. So you can see the Death Knight, you can see the Shaman, like, you can see a lot of the challenges here. So you know who you'll be up against, basically. And you need to know that because you need to prepare a strategy for all of them, because all of these guys do certain abilities and things you got to watch out for as well. So as you can see, they all drop down. These guys are all different, the same classes. I can tell you that now. Same classes. So you got to be aware of what they are. So it's going to be Resto Druids, it could be a Balance Druid as well. And pretty much these are really, really easy, okay? Like I said, essentially what you got to do is get rid of the totems. I'm not sure I don't know if you can purge Divine Shield. But, you know, essentially what you need to do is you need to focus one target, usually the healer, and put a lot of pressure and make sure the other healers are interrupted at the same time. Okay? So you need to make sure the healers are interrupted. For the mobs, you need to make sure the son of mobs are CC'd. This is an encounter where our tank was essentially useless, because you couldn't taunt the mobs. The mobs are all taunt immune. And as a unique encounter, but once you got the healers killed, like as soon as you got the Resto Druid, the Shaman, the Paladin, and the Priest killed, it became very, very easy pickings, and you just picked off the DPS one by one by one. And, you know, it was very, very easy to fight after you killed the healers and, you know, kept CCing the DPS and stuff like that. Also, next one will be Valkyrie, which will be Salt and Pepper. This is probably the most funnest fight for DPS and drops the best strength for DPS. So basically, you either got light or dark, and if you collect the orbs as either light or dark, you know, you got more energy. But if you selected the opposite one, if you hit the opposite one, you did a big AoE damage to everyone around you. So as you can see here, you can pick your color. So tanks, what they have to do as well, like tanks will have to switch to dark, we have to switch to light and stuff like that. So as you can see here, absorbing light damage can cause a siege or whatever. And essentially what DPS have to do is they have to switch between left, right, depending on their debuff and stuff like that. And they had a share soul debuff. You couldn't AoE him down, I believe. But, you know, it was particularly easy, okay? Like, very, very easy to kill that fight. You just had to switch from side to side. I think when you got Surge of Light like that, basically you couldn't get it for a certain amount of time, so you had to switch to the other target as well. I'm trying to remember why you had to switch to your colors. It just depends, okay? It just really, really depends. But anyways, the next boss is going to be Anubarak. As you can see, like, I don't remember too much from this instance because this instance was pretty bad. I'm going to be plainly honest. It's probably one of the most bland instances that I've ever been in, and there's not really much that was mechanically good about this place. Like, all I remember doing is just putting beacon antagonists, keep healing. All I remember was like the bad stuff, like the jousting and the dailies and stuff like that, and the paladin nerfs, which was so not needed. But at the same time, like, the main fight I did remember was Anubarak, and Anubarak is probably one of the funner fights in this area, where you had to actually use, like, paladins were used a lot, mainly because of Bob, and secondly, because there's only a certain amount of spears underground that could be used when you cut any ads, okay? So basically in Heroic, I think it was only like 6 or 7 or 8, I think it was 3 spheres per phase for Anubarak when he goes to burrowing phase. And you had to use them sparingly, like absolutely sparingly, because if you did not, you would wipe because you wouldn't have enough spikes to cut Anubarak to. So things you'd do is like you would bop to hold Anubarak there for 10 seconds. You'd also, you know, you bop a target, and you bubble a target and stuff like that as well while he was burrowing. And then you ran to the ice sheet to pop the thing up right away. And then what you had to do is you basically had to zerg him to 30% so he could get out the burrow phase. In normal difficulty, he has infinite, like these would respawn non-stop. And, well, that would be pretty much it of this fight. So Nubaraki did drop, oh, it does drop a pet. I just didn't realize that. I didn't realize these guys drop pets. Okay, that's interesting. But yeah, so pretty much like this instance was pretty easy. Overall, I think Nubarak was probably the hardest boss to get Grand Crusader because there's a lot of different ways you could wipe on this boss. But overall, like this boss was very, very underwhelming. This instance was really, really bad. It actually caused a lot of people to quit. And, you know, I didn't enjoy it too much either. Okay, it's pretty much a bad memory for me. For Nubarak, all I remember was like becoming the first paladin back in the raid after quitting, and they just rushed me into the raid, and we killed a Nubarak within 3 to 4 tries as soon as I got the fight, basically. And, you know, it wasn't the greatest memory, but I hope you guys enjoyed a trip to memory lane down Trial to Crusader. Hopefully I didn't bring up too many bad memories about you, but I think I recall that, you know, one of Blizzard's failed inventions. So, have a great day, guys.